Hello, everyone. I wanted to pop on, let you know we're just going to be starting in a couple minutes, just letting a couple more people join here. Also want to make sure that everyone can hear us. So if there's any issues, feel free to type in your little comment box below if you can't hear for any reason or the screen's not working, but we'll be getting started here in just a couple moments. We're just going to wait for a couple more people to log on. So thank you for joining and hold tight for a couple more minutes. Okay, everyone, welcome, welcome. I hope that everybody can hear me. Let me know if maybe if someone can just say, can you hear us now? That would be fabulous. Because I'm live, so if someone can just say, yes, you can hear, then would be great. And we'll get going. Because it looks like I've got some messages that the connection was lost. So we just want to make sure. Yay. Okay. Yay. Good, good. Thank you so much. Perfect. Okay, good. Well, I am so excited to get going. And I'm super, super excited to talk about thyroid today because it's literally something that I see every single day in my office. And it is so important for every aspect of your health. So I feel like this is a really, really great one to anybody and everybody should listen to this, learn about the thyroid because everybody can benefit. So let's get going. Obviously, you see the little chat box here, so you can I'll leave a little time at the end for some questions, and you can pop them in here as we go. If there's something that I can answer as I'm speaking, I will. If not, then I'll try to look at the end, get most of those answered. And if not, then, feel free to message us or set up a little appointment. So, all right, let's get going then. Here's me. Okay. First slide. All right. So let's start with the basics. What does your thyroid do, right? We're all kind of like, we talk about thyroid, but we don't know exactly what does it do. Well, the thyroid is literally affecting every single cell in our body. So the thyroid hormones that are going around our body are going to every single cell and helping to make it work correctly or turn it on. So the thyroid hormones control our metabolism for our whole body. Now, when we think metabolism, oftentimes we often think like weight and, burning our energy. Well, yes, that is absolutely true, but it's affecting, how your heart rate is, how your body temperature, your digestion, your energy, and then absolutely your weight and how you're burning your calories. It also can affect our mood. It can affect, really overall body function, you name it. If your thyroid is not optimal, it is going to affect every single other part of your body. So this little guy is located in our neck right here. It's kind of shaped like a butterfly. So we often call it, this little butterfly gland here. But it's affecting everything. So it is really important that we know that it's working well. So what does it look like when it is not working optimally? So hypothyroid is the most common form of thyroid imbalance that I see. What that means is that the thyroid is low. It's functioning suboptimally. It does not have enough hormone. So what does this look like? This looks like weight gain, fatigue, super low energy, hair loss, constipation. It can affect women's menstrual cycles. So a lot of times those super heavy, crampy, long periods, that could actually be a root problem of thyroid. So we're always kind of like, oh, let's treat the period itself. Well, if we don't look at the whole picture, you might be missing this easy fix that your thyroid's off. Another big thing is it really affects our mood. So depression can be a big, factor in low thyroid. I see so many people come into my office who are, placed on antidepressants, and we look at their thyroid and it's actually really low. And when we finally get that working well, all of a sudden your mood is feeling a lot better. So it's just important to evaluate that whole picture. It can affect our sleep. It can affect our cholesterol levels. I can't tell you how many people come in and we look and their cholesterol is super high and they're like, I literally have not changed my diet, my exercise. I've never had high cholesterol. And then we see that thyroid is actually low. We fix the thyroid and all of a sudden the cholesterol improves. And it doesn't mean you have to be put on a statin. So, and like I said before, it's also affecting your body temperature. So oftentimes with a low thyroid state, we can feel kind of cold. So these are all things to kind of consider. And I don't know if anybody can relate and say, oh yeah, I have a couple of these. This is one of those reasons why, it's kind of a ubiquitous thing. It can be joint pain, puffiness, stuff like that. We need to check the thyroid. So everybody, every single year, part of your annual screening should be comprehensive thyroid testing. And we'll get into what comprehensive testing looks like because it's oftentimes not necessarily what you've been doing for many years unless you've been seeing one of our doctors here or a functional medicine doctor or a naturopathic doctor. All right, so let's talk about how common this is. So thyroid issues are more common in women than they are men, but it absolutely happens in men as well. So 1 in 8 women will suffer from thyroid problems at some point during their life. That is a lot of people. And then the other crazy thing is that at least 20 million Americans have some form of thyroid disease, and up to 60% of those don't even know that they have it. So it's undiagnosed. And this is where I really want to make sure we are screening everybody and we catch you before you're even feeling bad, right? We're looking and seeing what trends are happening in your labs. Let's make you feel your very best, not wait until it's out of range. But once again, I just like to reiterate, this is super duper duper common. Okay. So what does comprehensive labs look like? I cannot tell you how many people come into my office every day and are saying, well, I got my labs tested and they said everything's normal, but I feel bad. But I have constipation. I feel like I'm losing a lot of hair when I shower. I'm noticing kind of more dry skin. And most common is people are like, I feel exhausted. I'm so tired and I don't know what's wrong. And you were told, well, your labs are normal. Okay, so this is where things get really different as far as what I'm going to test and what probably most people had tested in the past or have been looking at. So on this slide, you'll notice the TSH. That's the most common lab for thyroid. This is basically your brain talking to your thyroid. And the higher this number, so if you're closer to this upper end here, this 5.7, that's the louder your brain is yelling to your thyroid saying, hey, we want more thyroid. We're like super low. So when you test this, you can see the range in your normal labs, right, is huge. So 0.3 to 5.7 at some labs. Now, if you are at a 5.7, I can tell you, you're probably feeling like crap. I don't want you just, in range. Okay, so you don't have an issue. I want you optimal. I want you between, these are some of kind of my ranges, a 0.5 to a 2. But basically, I want you where you're functioning optimally, not just out of a disease state, right? So when we look at labs, we're looking at a much narrower range to get you feeling your best. On top of that, we are also looking at more than just your TSH. So when I look at the thyroid, I also want to test your actual hormone levels. So we've got our TSH, right? The brain talking to the thyroid. And then we have the hormones that your thyroid is actually producing. And that is your T3 and your T4. And these are often not tested. And I cannot tell you how many times the TSH is normal, looks fine, and your T3 and your T4 hormones are totally out of whack, and maybe they're super low. The other thing is that we are oftentimes, if some of you may actually have thyroid conditions who are watching this, and you might have been placed on a medication for your thyroid hormone, very common and very important, but you might only be getting one of these hormones. You might only be getting T4 or your levothyroxine. For some people, that might be fine, but we need to make sure you're also converting into your T3 so that you're getting enough of that as well. So these are really big hidden little factors that oftentimes are not looked at. And it is so simple to change. If we look at this and we see an imbalance and we switch little things, I've seen dramatic differences for people. The other thing that I really love to test, and for all of my patients when we're doing our screening, we're going to be testing for autoimmune antibodies. What that basically means is that your body is looking at your thyroid as kind of this foreign invader. Your body's attacking your own thyroid. And not a good thing, right? But that's the most common reason for low thyroid in people. You don't have to have it, but this is a good screening because if it is part of the problem, we can do things to help. I have also had so many people come into my office and say, I have Hashimoto's, which is the autoimmune thyroid, and be told that, yeah, but my doctor said there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just on the medication, and this is kind of what we do. That is not the case. We can absolutely lower your thyroid antibodies, get your thyroid functioning better, optimize your medications so that you're getting the right amount of hormones. So I really hate whenever there's oh no, we can't treat that. Yeah, no, that's not how we do it here. There is absolutely solutions. So comprehensive labs, we want to get the TSH along with all the hormones, look for any autoimmune conditions, and then we can really dive in and see what each individual is going to need to feel their best. And not just number-wise, oh, you're normal. We're not going to send you off like that. Okay, so this is kind of what I was talking about. Hypothyroid or Hashimoto's, which is the autoimmune thyroid. That's the most common reason. And I just loved this picture on here because I thought it was such a great example of kind of what this low thyroid or hypothyroid patient can look like. It's kind of that puffy. So if you'll notice when you're looking at the screen, the picture on the left-hand side, she looks puffier, just not the greatest, right? And then she got her thyroid corrected, and look at how much better she looks. It can be huge. So that weight gain, feeling puffy all over, constipation, cold intolerance, all of these things can be related to thyroid, and we can fix that underlying cause and heal so many different things. I actually had a patient the other day who came in, and she had a thyroid screening with her primary care doctor. They tested her TSH, and it was in range. So she was told it was fine, right? But she was having actually a lot of constipation and a lot of fatigue. That was her main concerns. Everything else looked pretty good. We did some, additional thyroid testing, and we looked, and her hormone levels, her T3 and her T4, they weren't totally out of range, but they were on the low end when I like mine, at a very specific range. They were on the low end. We got her on some good thyroid nutrients. We got her on the correct hormones, and already, okay, constipation is resolved. And you know what? I feel like I'm actually not losing as much hair when I shower. And her energy, that was the biggest thing. She had energy to start working out in the mornings. It was like night and day. So simple, and it fixed all of these. And we didn't have to then get her on 5 different medications to try to treat each little symptom. So this is where it can be so helpful to get to that root cause and do your annual screening and come to somebody who is going to be looking at the deep, like the full comprehensive. We're not just going to be surface level, and we want you feeling your best. So we're looking at your symptoms as well as your numbers. Okay, so then let's talk about how it affects other hormones in your body. So this is just a reminder that, the thyroid does not function alone. If the thyroid is off, a lot of things will be off. So the thyroid is going to affect your blood sugar balance. So, struggling with diabetes, or maybe just high blood sugar levels, or even low blood sugar levels, all of these things, we need to look at thyroid. It's going to affect your insulin production. It's also hugely affecting cortisol. And we all know cortisol and stress, right? There's this fine balance we want to have our cortisol in. If your thyroid is off, you're not going to be able to metabolize your cortisol correctly, meaning it's sitting in your bloodstream longer, and we feel stressed longer. So very key for this stress management piece to get our thyroid on board as well. And then thyroid also basically slows the elimination pathway for our estrogen. So ladies, super heavy cycles, really painful cycles, really long cycles, estrogen dominance, we need to look at that thyroid because that can absolutely be a factor as well. And for gentlemen, if we have low thyroid, it also can decrease our testosterone levels. So this is one of those things where maybe we're just like, oh yeah, give you some testosterone, and then we just got to keep piling it on. What if your thyroid's not working right? And it's a super important piece to that whole health puzzle. So the other thing that I really like to reiterate to my patients is that when we do annual labs, we want comprehensive thyroid, but we also want to look at the whole picture. Let's see how all of your other hormones are doing, because they're all going to work together. So what sort of things are important for thyroid health? Now, these are our nutrients. The thyroid needs very specific nutrients in order to make those little hormones that go around your body and do all of this work. So the main nutrients are listed right here. And a lot of these we can get through our diet. I'll give you kind of some examples of like where you would be able to find these things. So selenium is found in Brazil nuts. So just having like a Brazil nut a day can give you a good little boost or source of selenium. Iodine, we really need iodine. A lot of us now, have switched to more of a sea salt, which is not iodized salt, which I love sea salt. I myself use sea salt, but that means we need to make sure that we are getting it in our diet. So those little seaweed snacks, great source of iodine. Cod is a good source of iodine. Some dairy products, good quality dairy products, some yogurts could have some good iodine in them. But the other thing is that if these things, it's like, gosh, I don't think I don't either like these or can't eat them enough, getting a good comprehensive supplement can be really helpful because we can get you a supplement that's going to have your iodine and all of these nutrients in one. But, it's nice to know kind of where you can fill in the gaps in your diet. The other really big piece is zinc. Zinc is mostly found in your meat, shellfish, legumes, nuts, seeds, stuff like that. Iron. So iron, most of us know, main source is going to be our animal products, meats, poultry, seafood. There's also some iron in your dark leafy greens, spinach, but this is something we often forget, is that it needs to actually be with vitamin C in order to be absorbed. So that's why I don't know if anyone ever squeezes a little lemon juice on their greens, something like that. It's a great way to help with the iron absorption in dark leafy greens. Meat and stuff like that does not have to be that way. It's already in a different form that's more absorbable for us. Tyrosine, this is a building block for the actual hormone. Must have it. This is an amino acid, so it's found in proteins. So making sure you're getting protein is key. And then the other piece is B vitamins. B vitamins are often also found in, poultry, meat, leafy greens. And lastly, vitamin D. I swear everyone, we think we live in sunny Arizona, and so we don't need to take any vitamin D, but a lot of us are not out there getting the amount of sun that we should. And that, that means you have to be out there with some good, torso exposure for a decent amount of time. So although it might be sunny outside, if we're not exposing ourselves to it, we're probably not getting enough of vitamin D. So oftentimes bringing in a supplement is really helpful for that as well. But making a well-rounded diet can make a big difference in getting the nutrients you need for your thyroid to function. And sometimes it's that simple. We get those nutrients on board and all of a sudden your numbers improve, you feel better, and it's that simple. But let's also talk about the things that can decrease our thyroid function, that affect our thyroid function, because this little guy, he's kind of a sensitive little gland. He's exposed to a lot, right? He's right here. So toxins are huge for the thyroid. Stress, like we talked about before, cortisol, all that. Stress is going to affect your thyroid production. Nutrient deficiencies, so if you're not getting enough calories, you're missing any of those nutrients we just talked about, going to decrease the function. Illness pregnancy is a big one. Having your thyroid optimal is really important for fertility, but also when you are pregnant, you're needing actually more thyroid. So that's going to affect your thyroid function. And then other hormone deficiencies, like we said, they're all interacting. So we need to look at the whole picture when we do this. I recently had looked at a study that I found very interesting of wives of farmers who were, out in the fields and they were using pesticides. They'd come home, give their wife a hug, whatever, have some exposure to these pesticides. And these women, just from that secondhand exposure to pesticides, had I think 15% higher incidence of thyroid issues than the general population. So, that was just another example that this is a very sensitive little gland and that we need to be cautious of what's in our environment and avoiding those things as much as possible. So I thought that was kind of an interesting little nugget. So what can you do today that can help you to get optimal functioning and make sure that you stay feeling your best? The first and foremost is get your comprehensive thyroid testing every single year. Annual testing. If you come to any of us here, we're going to be doing a full thyroid panel every year to make sure that you're looking good and we catch anything before it even gets bad, right? The second thing you can do is clean up your environment. So this can be as simple as doing eating organic veggies, avoiding, the pesticides as much as possible, looking for, clean 15, okay, dirty dozen, always get the organic version. Avoiding plastics. So, how many times have we been told, don't drink from these plastic water bottles, right? It's just, they're endocrine disruptors and it's going to affect you. So water bottles, your to-go containers, and then even the products that we use in our house are cleaning products. So getting less toxic cleaning products, your body care products, lotions, shampoos, all of that. Really important and simple little steps that can make a big difference, not only in thyroid function, but honestly in your overall body function. the other thing is getting adequate protein. So if you noticed when we were talking about all the nutrients, almost, I would say at least half, if not more of those, the main source where they were from is in protein foods. So if you're vegetarian, vegan, and you don't eat meat, no problem, then I usually do recommend getting a good supplement to fill in those gaps. You can definitely get as much from diet as possible, but oftentimes that can be a big help. So that's my next tip, is upping your supplement game. Now, I'm super picky with where you get your supplements because they are not third-party tested. And if you go on Amazon and order, they have said that at least 30%, if not more, of their products are not what they say on the label. They're not responsible for what people are selling. So, buyer beware. You could just be buying crap that could even be worse for you and spending your money. So getting a really good quality supplement is really important. And anything you get from us is going to be medical grade, and we're going to make it specific for what you need. And then lastly, laugh, move, get outside, balance our stress, right? Things have been stressful lately. There's a lot going on in the world. So making sure that we take care of ourselves, spend time with your family, do things that you enjoy, taking time to rest, and simply just breathing, taking a moment outside can be a big, big help. I also want to mention that if anybody, is feeling like, well, how do I know if I have enough iodine, if I have, good B vitamin status? A lot of these can be tested. So those are oftentimes included in your labs, at least when we do kind of initial visit stuff. So there's also ways to test for these things. But bottom line is that we have a whole bunch of tools that we can do to get you feeling better and hopefully, preventing disease for the long term, getting you energetic, all of these things again. So that concludes my piece of this. I'd like to open it up for any questions, if there are any. And then we also, yes, and by the way, you guys will, yes, okay, you'll receive the link for this afterwards to be able to replay it. But any questions on anything that we talked about? And if not, I wanted to let you guys know that in watching this, you guys can have a $50 off your new patient appointment. So if you can kind of like, I can relate to some of those symptoms, then absolutely call, schedule, and take advantage of that $50 because that's your gift. So, okay, we got a little question about estrogen dominance. Great. Okay, so estrogen dominance, basically what that means is that you have higher estrogen levels, which for women who are menstruating, that can oftentimes look like, not always, but heavier periods, more crampy, bleeding for a longer time. Sometimes it can make you feel a little more puffy. A lot of things come along with estrogen dominance. So estrogen dominance means higher estrogen as compared to your progesterone levels as well. So we want a perfect little balance between your estrogen and your progesterone. We don't want estrogen too high. And by correcting your thyroid, that helps our body to be able to clear the estrogens that we don't want. And then therefore, hopefully balance that cycle. But we're looking at, when we talk estrogen dominance, we're looking at both the estrogen levels, your progesterone levels, and then making sure that you don't have all of these yucky things that happen. So, awesome. Let's see, next question. Oh, great. What's the difference between hypothyroid and Hashimoto's? Great question. So there is a difference. So hypothyroid just means low thyroid or not enough thyroid hormone. Hashimoto's is the autoimmune thyroid that I was talking about. This is the most common reason that your thyroid is low. So Hashimoto's is the autoimmune condition that can cause hypothyroid or low thyroid. Hypothyroid is simply just low hormones. So when we're talking hypothyroid, we want to see if the reason that your thyroid is low is the Hashimoto's or the autoimmune piece of that. So hopefully that's helps a little bit. And all of these things would be tested. And obviously, you know, everyone's an individual, but there's tons we can do. But we want to see what's the root cause. So those are great questions. And any other questions from anybody? You will get the link. You can watch this again. You know, we're happy to, we're here to help you. And if you have any questions on thyroid, we see it all day, every day. We love treating thyroid. We've got so many solutions. So, you know, be sure to call us, send your questions. Let me know if you guys have anything else. But it was such a pleasure to speak to you today. This is one of my favorite subjects. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing your time. And hopefully I'll be seeing you, some of you soon. Okay. Oh, and then, oh, you know what? I'll answer this last question here. Any tips on how to take thyroid medicine? So thyroid medicine, now everybody's a little bit different, but I'm gonna give you what most of the time we want to do. So thyroid medicine should be on an empty stomach. That's first and foremost. You don't take your thyroid with food. So you take it on an empty stomach, and you take it 30 minutes before you're gonna eat food. Thyroid medicine, 90% of the time, is taken in the morning. So first thing when you wake up, you pop your thyroid, you wait 20 to 30 minutes before you even have your coffee, and then you eat and go throughout your day. But it's usually taken in the morning on an empty stomach. So hopefully that is also helpful with how to take your thyroid. Obviously, if you've been told otherwise by your practitioner, and there might be different reasons why you take it at different times, then you just let us know. So, and we can always, you know, address that specifically. But in general, that's how you take it. All right. Thank you all so much. This was such a pleasure. I hope you all have an amazing Wednesday, and I hopefully will see some of you guys soon. Take care.